Hello, this is Patrick with the Dream Cognition Experiment for video number 10. You can see the time is 9:44 p.m. Wednesday, December 27th. Interesting that I'm doing this video at 9:44 because that's what the subject is about tonight. Just wanted to give you a picture that's of myself and Lou Ferrigno. You may recall him from the Incredible Hulk TV series. That is tonight's Florida Lotto Pick 3 Jackpot, 944. The reason I'm showing this tonight is because this is another method, it's an example of another method I use called the repetition phenomena. Something I discovered when I was a kid, but it was only in my adult years that I really started researching and keeping notes about it. Over 25 years ago, I started keeping notes. I carry a notepad with me everywhere I go. And I jot down when I leave the house, what route I take, what numbers I see repeating, what comes over the radio, etc., to see if anything, connects or repeats. In this case, 944 started repeating on December 25th. That's when the actual first hit occurred, and you may recall that on video number 9, which was about a former girlfriend named DK, I referenced that she had a special number of 944. You can see it right there. Now, this isn't connected to her birth information. This was embedded into my subconscious because of an incident in 2008 that happened in the house that we shared. There was a voicemail from her doctor. The appointment time left was 9:44. Now, that's very odd. So immediately, I took that as a sign from the subconscious to play those digits. And I played those, and they came in the very next day as 944. And I made a video about it at that time in detail, showing proof and the Lotto result on the Florida Lotto information site dealing with jackpots, as you're looking at here. Now, again, that's not a number. As I said, it's not a number connected to her birth information or address or phone number. That was just a number that I started noticing after I had dreams about her that would come in on occasion. Now, I did not have a recent dream about her for these digits to come in, but on December 25th, I did talk about that as a number that has come in the past. So I think the subconscious was trying to satisfy that aspect without showing me a dream of DK. Regardless, those numbers did come in tonight. Now, as repetition phenomena goes, I'm going to give you a rundown while you look at a picture of myself and Lou Ferrigno. I made the original video 9 post on December 25th, and I mentioned the 944 in that video post. Anybody can go back and look at the physical evidence on the blog and watch that video number 9. On 12/26/17, which was yesterday, I had no plan to leave the house in the morning, but I decided I wanted to go pick something up. Now, I got to the location, but I had not been paying attention to the car clock. I wrote the time down that I left the house, and then I decided to look at the clock because I wanted to write down the time I arrived. It was at 9:44 a.m. It's the first time I had looked at the clock since I left the house. Okay, that was number 2. Number 1 was December 25th. Number 2 was December 26th at 9:44 a.m. Now, later that evening, for some reason, I remembered I had to pick something up from Walmart. I took my notepad, of course, and wrote down the time that I left the house, wrote down the time I arrived at Walmart, and then when I left Walmart, I got in the car, cranked the car up, and I glanced at the clock, and it's 9:44 p.m. Now, there's nothing wrong with the clock in my car, so it's not stuck on 9:44, in other words. So that was number 3. Meanwhile, on December 27th, today, I was up this morning working on something. I had the TV on, and for some reason it sounded like the volume went up, and when it did, it made me glance at the TV and the DVR clock, which was 9:44 a.m. Again, this is how freaky it gets when it appears the universe is trying to get my attention on something. And whenever it shows numbers like that, like a 3-digit number that's the same, not in combination, in other words, it didn't show me 449, it was showing me 944 each time, I got this sense of urgency. And even this morning after I saw that, a little voice inside said, hey, you should go play those numbers, they're going to come in. And I thought, well, it was raining outside, it was cold, and I didn't want to go anywhere. So I didn't go play. But it didn't matter, is because they came in this evening instead, and at that time I had already, blown the idea off that I was going to go play. Now, this is a great example of what I'm talking about, repetition phenomena. And as I said, I started noticing this when I was a kid, and I used to tell my mom all the time, and it drove her crazy, because I would say, hey, Mom, there's those numbers again, or Mom, there's that song again. And she said, I told you, please don't talk about this around other people. They're going to think you're crazy. So, of course, I sort of suppressed all that for many years. And even growing up, I didn't even share it with friends. But about 25 years ago, I was talking to a guy in my gym about it. And he said, you should start writing that stuff down. And I said, you know what? I'm going to do that. And that's when I went out and bought a notepad. And I started keeping track of things. And I started getting these phenomenal results that were connected to the Florida Lotto, to world news events, to people I haven't seen, or things that happened to people that I know, etc. It was pretty incredible. There's another interesting story in a synchronicity about how I ended up getting Lou Ferrigno at this particular bodybuilding show that I promoted some years back. And it was because I was involved in these things that I'm talking about now, recording dreams and repetition phenomena and such, that I met an individual that worked for the organization that helped me get these athletes to my shows. Very interesting story for another time. But anyway, I hope I clarified what repetition phenomena means this evening. And I have another post that I made last night, or yesterday afternoon actually, dealing with the 3 digits 395. 395 recurred yesterday 3 times within a 4-hour period in a most interesting way. And everybody should go to the blog. If you didn't read it already, look for Coincidence, I think was the title, Strange Coincidence, and look for the one that has 395, or just put 395 in search and it'll bring it right up. And you'll see everything I wrote and how I put in the summary what I think it could possibly be. So I hope I have that all covered and made sense of it all. And I want to thank everybody for tuning in and reading the blog, and hopefully you're sharing it with your friends and your family and your social media that find it interesting or have an open mind. Or maybe you're having these experiences and you want to prove that somebody else is too, because I feel that these things are happening 24/7 to all of us. We're getting little bits, little pieces, little fragments while we're awake and while we're asleep. But if you study these things, you'll see they are connected to interesting things in your life. They are connected to future events in your life and probably connected to world events as well. I mean, just look at the results I'm having on the Florida Lotto. And this has been going on for a very long time. And remember, the blog is 10 years old, so I have a lot of these repetition phenomena posts on there that you can go back in the archives and read. This is no hoax. This is no joke. Trust me, this stuff is very real. This is Patrick with the Dream Cognition Experiment, located at patrick-patrickscott.blogspot.com. And today is December 27th, 2017. Thank you.